I cannot believe that I've had my small business for 5 years. Hey you guys! So I figured that today we should get back to the basics. So I just hit 14,000 followers or subscribers here on YouTube, which is so exciting and it's such a big milestone. And I was looking through my videos and I'm like, I'm always talking about my business, I'm self-employed, entrepreneur, girl boss. But I never told you guys here on YouTube how it all started. Like how COVID hit 2020 and now we're in 2025 and I'm literally about to be a mom. Self-employed mama. So if you're new here, I have my own small business called Fabulous Boutique where I sell safety keychains and a bunch of other safety products like home safety, car safety, knives, stun guns, like basically imagine a bunch of self-defense products except for actual pum-pums. That's essentially what I sell. And right now it's gone to the point where I am the owner and I do have, I would say like 1.5, like 2 employees? Question mark. So my family does work for me. My mom was working for me full-time for a few years while she was in nursing school, but now she's actually a nurse, so she cut down her hours to part-time to help me. And then my brother is also part-time. He's our photographer and videographer, so all the pictures you see on the site, those are it. And then the TikToks for new collections and promos, I'm the one who makes him do that. And then my grandma, she's retired and she's the one who makes all of our wristlets. She hand makes them. So again, kind of like part-time. That's why I'm like, I don't know how many employees I exactly have because now all 3 of these people are just like part-time. But my brother and my grandma, it's on a basis when I need them. Like, oh, I need pictures and videos. Oh, I need wristlets. My mom still comes in weekly does what she needs to do. But anyways, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a picture. Like when I say small business, I mean like really small. I'm so fortunate that I can even pay some of my family members to work for me. I do not have any other employees that are not family members. I do pay one other person. Her name is Lashana, but she has her own business. Her own business is like marketing, I would believe. She's like a marketing business and I hired her. She's the one who does all my advertisements. She's the one who handles all my meetings when it comes to like the Facebook ads, TikTok ads, like all that Google ads, whatever I be doing, okay? She's in charge of all that. She's the graphic designer for my website, all the emails she'd be sending out, like tag, like all that stuff she's in charge of. So I don't count her as an employee because that's her own business and I hired her business to do that. I hope that makes sense. So with that being said, that's where I'm at now. Let's go back to 2020, back when I first started my business. If you don't know, I'm actually the first entrepreneur in my business, in my family, just period. Like I had no help. Nobody knew what to do. Like I actually hid my business from my parents at first. I actually hid it from everybody at first. So I originally started my business just on Facebook, like with my friends and family. I decided to do safety keychains just because I was harassed and robbed on campus. So at the time, I was in college and I did graduate, okay? I was in college and I was getting harassed by a staff member who's being very inappropriate. That's all I'll say. Saying and doing very inappropriate things. And I started out to feel safe. I'll get really weird DMs of somebody saying they knew where I was at. Like, oh yeah, I just saw you at so-and-so diner. And then I was also robbed. I don't believe that the man who was harassing me also robbed me. Where my school was, it was in a really bad area and I just so happened to park in the bad area. Somebody robbed me and when I went to my freaking car, all my doors were open, everything was thrown. They didn't really steal anything of importance. It was just some change and maybe a pair of headphones. But that really scared me because I'm like, oh my God, like if this person was still in my car right now robbing me, I would have nothing to defend myself. I would just be helpless. So because of all that, I was like, okay, like I should sell safety keychains. And it originally just started as a little side hustle, something to do just for fun, because at the time it was when COVID, like everybody's in lockdown. The only people who can go out is if you're an essential worker. And I was working as a nanny, but my mom made me quit because I had an incident where the little kid was spitting on me. he was old enough to know. I just think it's more of like, it was the parents' fault of how they were raising and disciplining him. But ever since that, mom was like, no, you can't risk getting COVID, because this was back when like everybody thought like if you got COVID you're gonna die, right? So she was like, no, you need to quit. She didn't want me going over all these random people's houses and then dealing with their kids and dealing with the parents and then just spreading of the COVID. So she forced me to quit. So I was like, I need some money. Like I was like, I need money. Like what am I supposed to do? So I started doing that, and then I ended up getting a different job, or not a different job. I ended up going to work with my mom. I've worked there for years at that point, and they needed a receptionist this time. Before, I was just a filing person. I would do filing cabinets, I work by myself, do the papers. They were like, no, we really need a receptionist. But they had like COVID protocols, like they were very safe. So mom was like, okay, you could work at my job, whatever. So I'm selling safety keychains on Facebook to my friends and family while also working as a receptionist. And that's important because that's how I had the money to fund the safety keychains. All my money, I would work at the desk, put into safety keychains. And then I was like, you know what? Why don't I just start an Etsy? And it is the easiest thing to set up. I have a whole separate video talking about the pros and cons of Etsy, but one of the pros is you can set it up in 2 seconds. You're not making your own website, right? I started on Etsy. I made a sale the first night. I went to bed, I was like, okay, like I'll put more products in there tomorrow. Woke up to an order and I was like, what? And it was a complete stranger who wasn't a friend or family member. And let me tell you, I remember the day, July 7th, 2020. That's when I first started my Etsy. So that's when I count my business anniversary, because I don't really remember when I started selling on Facebook to friends and family. But then again, that was just friends and family. So I count my business anniversary when I first opened my Etsy shop, July 7th, 2020. And from there, that's when I also started a TikTok. And you guys know at the time, I don't know about you guys, but if you were there for it, but that was when like everybody's like, what is TikTok? Like, oh, like I'm not gonna post on there. And my mom had a TikTok. She's like, you should get it, you should get it. I was like, okay, fine. So I started posting on there. It just took a few months for it to blow up. When I say blow up, I mean millions of views every single video. That was in the TikTok era where you could post a video of you just staring at the camera. Oh, 10 million views. So my Etsy shop is blowing up, I'm selling out consistently. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I realized I had some limitations on Etsy. So I'll insert a picture of what my safety keychains look like now, but before, imagine all of that, but without the pepper spray. So I'm thinking, duh, I need to sell pepper spray, but Etsy wouldn't let me. And I felt confident enough. I was like, okay, I'm getting a lot of views on TikTok. Let me just make my own website. Well, I didn't end up making my own. I paid somebody to do it, because to this day, when it comes to graphic designing and technology, if it's not posting on social media, I don't know how to do it. I will pay you, please. So I paid somebody to make my website, and it was a success. And I actually remember the day, guys, these are just really important days I just remember on top of my noggin. November 11th, 2020, that's when I decided to start my own website. But I feel like that's a really quick, like fast pace change, right? How many months is that? That was only 4 months. I just lasted 4 months on Etsy, boom, switched my website, and it was doing amazing. I was selling out of my entire website because at the time I was only selling the safety keychains. At that point, I hadn't expanded to like stun guns, knives, kitty knuckles, car emergency kit. First, like I didn't have any of that. It was just strictly safety keychains. Selling out. And I was still doing this alone. I would have my family help sometimes, like if I was overwhelmed. You know, like my brothers would help me unbox things, but at the time I still didn't really have employees. And at this point, I was working from my dorm room. I should have mentioned this. I was still in college. So that whole summer, it was the summer before my senior year. So I'm working full time as a receptionist, doing my business, and then I had to go back to school. So I was working out of my dorm room. I'm gonna see if I have any pictures, you guys. I'm gonna include it as I'm talking. I'm working from my dorm room. Actually, let me show you the very first picture I took of my inventory. This little cart in my parents' hallway. So I worked from there, my dorm room, and then I ended up moving back home because I just had a lot of anxiety, and I was just like really depressed, just for a bunch of reasons that I'm not gonna get into. One of the reasons though was being harassed on campus and stuff. I just had so much anxiety. I'm like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm gonna see this man at any point. It was just too much for me. So my parents ended up moving me back home in the middle of my first semester, which I wasn't expecting, because again, it's my senior year. So I had been living on campus for 3 years prior and I was perfectly fine, but I don't know, like I just couldn't handle it anymore. So I ended up moving back home, and my parents bought me a bunk bed so I could work under my bunk bed. From there, I outgrew that, and my dad let me use their basement to run my business, and I could have kept working out of there, but then my parents ended up buying a house, and in this new house the basement was furnished, so they ended up taking the basement as their room. So they're like, oh, you have to work out of your room again. I was like, that's not happening. They were like, yes it can. So I went behind their backs in February of 2021 and rented out my own office. And I say behind their backs, like me and my parents are really close. Like I actually tell them everything. Like even if I'm like, oh, like I wipe my butt the wrong way, like it hurts, like I'll call my mom and tell her. So like me not telling them that was a really big deal. And I told them after I signed it, I was like, hey, by the way, like I signed this. They're like, what are you doing? Like you need to grow first. But I just had so much confidence that I was like, no, I'm so confident in the fact that this is going to work out. It's not gonna, and it was really expensive too. I was like, I swear it's gonna work out. Isn't that kind of crazy though, getting your first office less than a year after opening a small business? Again, keep in mind, I'm a small business owner. It makes a very big difference. I'm pouring all my money into this, all my own personal money. I'm not rich. I'm not these corporations. I don't have rich parents. I don't have rich family members. Like it's all me, okay? So I ended up moving to my office, and from there, that is when I hired my first 2 employees, which was my brother and my brother's girlfriend. They're actually still together to this day. And they would help me pack orders, make keychains, things like that. And that's kind of crazy too. Like I had to hire employees like less than a year. Like that's kind of a flex. That's kind of a flex. Like, and I knew that it was a big deal at the time. I'm like, I feel like this isn't normal. Like, what the heck? And I learned all my business stuff through TikTok and YouTube. That's where I learned everything, okay? I taught myself. Even to this day, people ask for advice. I'm like, you guys, I have no advice because I just kind of winged it. If I had a question, I'm like, TikTok, how to do this. YouTube, how to pay taxes. Like, I didn't know anything about anything. So from there, I actually ended up outgrowing that office very quickly, less than a year in, and I ended up moving to a different office building, got a bigger office, and I really love that building, but it was just way too far from home for me, and like the traffic was crazy. I was like, we gotta move back a little bit closer, and we need something bigger, and it was actually cheaper because if you guys don't know, I'm based in Connecticut, so the closer you get to New York City, the more expensive it gets. The further away you get from the city, a little bit cheaper it gets. So the first office was heading towards the city. The other office is not heading towards the city. So from there, and business is still booming, and it's truly because of TikTok, because at that time I had 0 advertisements. I was strictly posting on TikTok, Facebook, and I was doing TikTok lives for a little bit, but then I ended up getting banned because they thought I was underage. And then when they asked, hey, we need to see your ID, they were like, oh, well, the ID doesn't say Fabulous Boutique. And I'm like, shit, my name is not Fabulous Boutique, my name is Alyssa, hello. So, and then I just stopped going live, and so I was still making a lot of money. A lot of people think that I only make money from TikTok lives, which is not the truth. Like my business boomed before I even went live. Like I actually didn't even show my face at first. I forgot to mention that. When I first started my business, I was so scared to fail. I was like, okay, like if I fail, I'm gonna be really embarrassed. I'm not gonna show my face, and that way nobody will ever know it was me, you know? So the first few months, people are buying because they just genuinely like my products, and they just know I'm a girl because they can see my hands. That's it. They don't know what I look like. They just see pasty hands with some nails showing keychains. That's all they see. So yeah, a lot of people think that, but no. At that time, it had nothing to do with TikTok Live. It was all just TikTok going viral. And then the virality, is that a word? Then the TikTok going virals stopped. And I'm like, okay. And I'm still making money though. So that's when I'm like, okay, let me just get back into TikTok Live. You know, I was doing it before and then I got banned for months and I just kind of stopped, whatever. And I was like, let me just get back into it. Boom, got into it. My TikTok lives started blowing up. Like when I say blowing up, it would say at the end of the live, it tells you how many viewers you had total. I had over 100,000 people viewing my TikTok lives. And this was before TikTok Shop took over, okay? Keep that in mind. We're gonna get into that. But I'm like, oh my God, I'm making all this money on TikTok Live. Let me keep doing it over and over. And I did thoroughly enjoy it at the time. I say at the time, because now it's not like my favorite thing in the world because people are just so toxic, and then TikTok Shop is taking over and they don't want to push you out anymore. But anyways, that's I'm mostly doing TikTok Lives, but I'm also running advertisements now. So I had met Lashana. I'm starting to run ads and I'm seeing a really big difference with the ads. Isn't that kind of crazy though? Like my first year and a half of business, I did 0 ads. It was all organic social media. But as you guys know, social media changes so quickly. So one thing that was working might not work anymore. So my millions of views on my videos, poof, went away. Now we're doing TikTok Lives. Then I ended up needing a bigger office. Again, less than a year. I don't remember the exact timing, maybe August or September 2022. I don't remember the dates. I ended up staying in the same office building, but they let me break my lease because they're like, oh, well, you're just gonna move to a different office within the building. We'll just transfer the lease. It's perfectly fine. I'm like, ah, so this is amazing. Made the move a lot smoother and easier because we're just moving it from a different floor instead of a different building in different city and different, you know. And I've been in that office ever since, and I purposely got that office a little bit too big because I wanted to grow into it. I learned my lesson. I was like, okay, I'm clearly getting offices that are just a little bit bigger than the last one, and that's not gonna last me. Let me get something that I know is gonna last. And I've been there ever since. So I've been there for like, what, like 2 years now? 2.5, 3, I don't know. I don't know what the math is, okay? I'm not good at math. I'm just good at running a business. From there, oh, and I should have mentioned too. I forgot to mention, sorry if my story's all over the place. After about a year of having my brother and his girlfriend work for me, I ended up letting his girlfriend go. It was nothing against her, and I wanted her to know that. I was like, I swear it's nothing against you. It's just that right now I just don't need 2 employees because it had slowed down a bit because, like I said, the millions of views weren't happening anymore. I was still doing amazing. I was like, I just need 1. And obviously, who are you gonna pick? Your brother or his girlfriend? I'm gonna pick my brother. And then worked out amazingly. My mom was wanting to quit her job and do nursing school, but my parents couldn't afford to only rely on 1 source of income. So then that's when I let my mom work for me so she could have another source of income while doing school. So everything just ended up working out perfectly. And the thing is, this is just like, I know I'm like yapping, but this is just the shortened version because there's so much that goes into business. Like there's been times, like I'm gonna be honest, there was one time I lost $50,000 from like just mistakes I've made, or I feel like I got scammed one time, and just there's just so many humps along the way. And as a business owner, you have to learn how to pivot. So that's why I'm like so thankful and grateful and blessed that I've made it 5 years. This July 7th will be 5 years in business, and I'm still dealing with like learning things and stuff like that. But it's just crazy now. Like I started my business when I was 21. I'm now 26 and married and pregnant, and I still have this business. And I should have mentioned as well, I forgot to mention this very vital part of the story. I was still in school while doing all this. So like I said, I started this summer before my senior year. I was still in school. I still ended up graduating barely, because that last year I would be like, study for this test or pack orders. I'm gonna go pack orders. That's more important to me right now. And I ended up like failing a few classes because I just like, what, my headspace wasn't in it. All my classes were online since I moved back home, and I just like wouldn't show up to classes. I wouldn't take the test. I wouldn't submit the essays. I was just like solely focused on this business, and I actually have no regrets about that because look where it got me now. But I ended up graduating with a degree in psychology. So no, I don't have a business degree. A lot of people think that. I've never taken a business class in my life. No, no. And I actually never wanted to even like own a business ever. I originally wanted to be a nurse and I ended up failing nursing school. Thank you, Jesus, for that, because thinking about it now, I don't think I was ever meant to be a nurse. Like I don't like throw up. I don't like blood. I don't like people. In what world did I think that I was gonna be a nurse? I don't know. So I think God failed me on purpose, all right? And then I ended up switching to psychology because I was already a psychology minor. They're like, oh, you have enough credits. If you switch to psychology, you can still graduate on time. I was like, oh yeah. And I actually really love psychology. I love it. And then it's funny, people tell me like on TikTok, they're like, girl, like you have to use psychology for business. It's like, you're kind of right, because think about it, you have to think about how to market, how to make these videos, how to make these ads, how to get people to buy. So I guess I do kind of use my degree for this. So I ended up graduating, and my mom was actually very upset that I was not going to get my master's. Okay, if you guys don't know, the rule of the house was, if you're gonna be in this house, you have to go to school, which obviously I went to high school and graduated, like duh. Isn't that, and I was the first person to graduate high school from my family. First person to graduate high school, first person to go to college, and first person to graduate college, which is kind of insane when you think about it. Like, hello, nobody graduated high school. What are we doing here? They were teen parents, and it was just a cycle that I ended, okay? Like, my grandparents never graduated high school, I don't think. Nobody like, my parents had their GEDs because they ended up, like, going back to finish that, but they dropped out because they had me. So that was her rule, like, oh, well, if you're gonna live in my house, you have to go get your master's. And I was like, no. I was like, I am gonna run this business full time. I figured, you know what, the worst that could happen after I graduate, I go and try to run this business full time and it fails, and then I already have my degree. I could just go out and get a job. That's the worst that could happen. If I had put the business on the back burner and, okay, let me go on interviews and go get a job, my business could just not be there because I'm not putting 100% into it. I'm not, you know, going live. I'm not posting TikToks. I'm not, like, I can't give 100% to two things. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. And she was like, and I knew they weren't gonna kick me out. I knew they were gonna do it. But they were like, okay, you have 1 year. Like, you have 1 year to run your business, and if it really is making you like money, like this is your job, okay, fine, you don't have to go back to school, like, or else you get kicked out. I knew they were never gonna kick me out, okay? They would have kicked me out if I didn't go to college, but that was never an option for me. I always knew I was going to go to college. I wanted to go to college. I was excited, but lo and behold, I actually ended up moving out on my own a year later. My mom was so upset. She was so mad. She was crying, like, I thought you were gonna move out when you were married. What is this? So I ended up moving out by myself because I felt I had enough income, and I did. Moving into my own apartment, met my now husband. We got engaged, we got married, now we have a baby, and like, I feel like I did everything, in my opinion, the perfect way. I feel like everything just worked out perfectly. I got my degree, got my business, got my husband, got my baby, and I'm just so grateful that I now have a job. I'm gonna quote on job because having a business is a job, where I can make my own hours. I don't have to worry about, oh my god, what daycare am I putting my baby in? Like, no, I'm gonna stay with my baby. I can go to work at 1 in the freaking morning if I wanted to, you know what I mean? So I'm just so grateful. That's just a little snippet of my story. If you guys have any questions about anything with my business, like how I got to this point, like what mistakes I made, anything like that, just ask it in the comment section, and I'll either answer you, or maybe I'll make a whole separate video just answering all your guys' questions about my business. But I will say before I even finish this video, things have decreased since 2022, I want to say. I want to be really real and authentic. My sales have decreased, but it's because of the economy as a whole. At first, I was like, is it me? Like, is there something wrong with my business? But as you guys know, like, inflation is crazy. Like, people can't even afford to buy food. They can't buy dinner for their families. The gas prices, the price of rent, like cars, like just the essentials, people can barely afford that. So I saw the direct correlation between that and my business. So I'm still doing amazing. Like, this is still my full-time job. I still, like I said, have my mom, my brother, my grandma, like I can pay them. But it's just like, really hard. And I know I'm not the only one. I talk to other small business owners, or when I'm on TikTok live, I ask other small businesses, hey, have you guys noticed too, like the sales slow down? They're like, yes. And I mentioned TikTok Shop earlier because I forgot to mention that too. I did notice as well, once TikTok introduced TikTok Shop, that's when my views also went down dramatically, because guess what? They want to promote TikTok Shop. They want to promote that. They want to promote that. And even with TikTok lives, guess what? They're promoting the TikTok lives that include TikTok Shop. And if you're wondering why I do have TikTok Shop, but I don't really use it as often, I'm gonna link the video in the description. It's talking about why I don't use TikTok Shop anymore. I ended up signing back up for it, hoping something would pop off. But if you don't know, I can't put all my products on there because TikTok Shop doesn't allow weapons per se. So I can't put pepper spray, Kubotan, I can't put stun guns, I can't put knives. So basically on my TikTok Shop, it's just like little accessories I sell, like, oh, a first aid kit, little crosses, little cherry cute keychains. So I can't really sell that much on there, and it's just so discouraging. And I know for a fact that I'm not crazy, because it'll say sponsored. Like if you guys look at any of the TikTok lives, especially when they say mega lives, if you look at the lives, it'll say sponsored, because TikTok is putting money into these lives and pushing them out as much as possible. And I feel like it just kind of screws over us small business owners who aren't on TikTok Shop. And it's like, hello, like what about us? You guys forgot about us. So like I said, you just have to pivot as a small business owner. It is really discouraging, but I'm still really thankful for all my customers who still shop. I never stop grinding. Like I'm still on TikTok live. I still post on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook every single day. I'm still running advertisements. I'm still doing what I need to do, even if sometimes the results aren't what I want. But it's completely normal as a business owner to have, like, you know, months where it's really amazing and then months where you're like, where's the bridge? You know. But yeah, that's a little bit of my story of how we got from harassed and robbed on campus to now married and pregnant with a amazing business that supports me and my family. And I should have mentioned too, my husband does have his own job. So I'm not confident enough to have my business support both of us. We're just not there yet. No, not there yet. And then also the really important thing is that he's the one who has the insurance for us as in me and my baby and himself. So yeah, he still has his own full-time job. This is my full-time job. I'm just not confident, and like we're both just not ready for that yet. Hopefully one day though. Hopefully God one day will bless us and he'll be able to quit his job and we can do my business full-time, but we're just not there yet, which is okay. It's okay. One of these years. But yeah, thanks for watching. And like I said, leave any comments or questions that you have about my business or just entrepreneur, girl boss in the comment section. And yeah.